Welcome to Prepper Nation. I am John, and I would do this entire video with these on, son. But they're so heavily polarized, I can't see anything when I'm inside. It's like wearing a welding mask or something like that for those who are familiar. Donna Southwood, thank you. Thank you for supporting the channel. And look, nothing wrong with being Canadian. Y'all have a better football league than we do. I love the Canadian Football League. Go Rough Riders. And also thank you to every one of you long timers, y'all usual suspects, for packing it out during and after the fact. Truly appreciate it. So, got to talk about a lot of different stuff today, but really, I don't know what I'm going to call the video. It's time to go. It's probably what I'm going to call the video. I almost don't want to because every time I name it something like that, you got all these trolls and these haters and these creators who I haven't seen in 2 or 3 years doing this right here. Peeking in like crackheads. Did we finally run him off? Did we finally get rid of John out of the community? See, here's the deal. I won't get into it too deep, but I'm a bit of a pariah in this community. It turns out if you're willing to get on your hands and knees and let people, the larger creators, stand on your back and platform off of you and basically be their little servants, they love you. They're your friends. But if you're not going to allow them to gatekeep and all of this stuff, hey, man, they don't want nothing to do with you, son. It's the same thing with companies. If you're willing to work with companies and shill stuff, you're beloved. You know what I'm saying? But if not, not so much. So I'm a pariah proudly. But I'm actually not talking about the channel going away or anything like that when I say it's time to go. It's something totally different, as a matter of fact. So stick around. We're going to get into that. I got to read some headlines. If I can quit coughing here for a second, I got to read some headlines that I saw over the past few days. Then I'll explain why they matter. To me, at least, but I sometimes live in my own dimension. Wrote them down. So, the world is crumbling. Lockdowns. This is bad. Lockdowns would be bad if they were happening, but I don't think they're happening. Russian generals are prepping for World War III. We are running out of time! Exclamation mark. That's a very powerful punctuation on that. Elites are running for bunkers. I'll probably put bunker or bunkers or something on the thumbnail art. Who knows? Who knows? My mind, it works crazy, right? And finally, bombers. They're on the move, son. They didn't put son in the headline, but bombers are on the move. Strategic bombers. So here's why I bring this up. And I'm not picking on any creators specifically. I mean, let's call a spade here. Every single day in the community, you're going to see headlines like that. Yeah, it's not like I'm telling you anything you don't already know. Those headlines exist pretty much every day. They just take the words, they move them around, blah, 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 whatever. I wanted to do something this past weekend with my family. So nothing extravagant or anything like this. I thought, it'd be nice to go downtown to Mayberry. For those that don't know, I literally live in Mayberry, and welcome to the channel, by the way. And I make it down there probably once a month, and it's always busy down there, which is awesome. But there's just some cool stuff down there. Angel's Pies is down there. There's 2 or 3 ice cream places like Walker's Soda Fountain and stuff like this. I really wanted to take the family down there, but again, bombers are moving. And I forget, let me see here. Lockdowns. I mean, lockdowns are coming and the world is crumbling and we're running out of time. So I had to make a decision here, son. What do I do here? Do I cower in fear and hide under the couch? I don't think I could fit under my couch. Hide under the bed, maybe, here at home? Or do I go out with the family and we just try and do the thing, you know? I forget who I was telling this to. I think it was Dynamite via text. My wife, every so often, she'll get a wild hair. She wants to go to the Amish stores. So I know this means we're going to the Amish stores and the farmers markets. Y'all can shame me right now. Y'all can say we're not doing the things, but here's what happens. We go to the local farmer markets, and we will buy bushel baskets full of different fruits. Sometimes it'll be peaches or white peaches. Sometimes it's apples. I mean, whatever. Because she enjoys canning and preserving this stuff. Plus, I just straight up eat them out the basket. So it is what it is. We're not growing, we don't have a peach tree farm. Sorry, being totally transparent. So it's easier. We know that the stuff is going to be there. We go in, we say hi, we know the people, we buy it by the bushel, right? So I decided to roll the dice. I said, you know what? We're going to do this. We're going to do it, son. So we were down on Main Street, and my wife and my daughter, there are a lot of shops and things that they enjoy going into. My son and I, pretty much, once we get ice cream, we're set. If you ever see me on Main Street, you're going to see me and my son. We're sitting on a bench. We're eating ice cream. I eat vanilla ice cream. It's my favorite. Not that that means anything, but it is. You'll see me sitting there eating a vanilla ice cream cone. My son, he gets different stuff. And we just had fun. The most amazing thing happened. Nothing. No martial law was instituted while we were there. No North Koreans were falling out of the sky. The government wasn't coming around and putting people in trucks to take them to re-education camps. None of this stuff was happening. It was just a normal day. People were pleasant. They were walking by. They were saying hi. No, for those that ask, I do get recognized when I'm out. Oddly enough, oddly enough, it's either when we're at a mall somewhere, hours away, or at Amish stores. I never get recognized on Main Street where I live because it's the home of Andy Griffith, and nobody cares about Prepper Nation. It's all about the Andy Griffith Show, which I can't argue with that. But anyway, I digress. The point is, people walking by, hey, how are you doing, sir? Hey, how are you doing? Everybody's nice. Life is normal here on the Main Street. And so this brings me to a couple of different questions, I guess, this morning, topics, whatever you want to call them. The first is, and this is, you don't have to answer this. This is just something for you to think about, but be honest with yourself, okay? How plugged in are you? Now, I'm talking about YouTube. I'm talking about Rumble. I'm talking about Twitter. I'm talking about CNN, Fox, MSNBC, Al Jazeera. How plugged in are you? How much time are you spending each and every day listening? Because it's all negative stuff. It's all negative stuff coming out. Again, if I can find the list real quick, I don't know. I'm very unorganized, as you can tell. We're running out of time. This is coming from the prepping community, okay? Russian generals are prepping for World War III, and lockdowns are coming. This is bad, this sort of thing. But you're going to hear similar bad, negative, nonstop on mainstream media. So, how plugged in are you? Do you consume the news? I do think it's important to be informed, to understand what is going on, in the world. It is important. But do you consume the news, or does the news consume you? And that's a question for you to answer on your own. Again, you don't have to put it here. It's not going to help me one way or the other. I'm trying to help you this morning. Hopefully the message is being received, okay? Second, it's time to leave. And what am I talking about, right? It's time to leave. What? Cities. It's time to leave the cities. I'm sorry. I am sorry. I can remember at the beginning of the pandemic, maybe a year into the pandemic, people were still making excuses. And at that time, man, maybe it made sense, or maybe, I don't know. There's just no excuse. There's no way, if you're in a city now, you can make it make sense. I'm talking about a larger city. Austin, Texas, Chicago, Illinois, DC, New York, Los Angeles, Portland, Seattle. There are a lot of other ones too, but hey, it's pretty early in the morning, right? There's no excuse that is good enough. There's no way you can sit there and say, well, John, I'm in a city because, and here are your typical excuses. Here's what I used to hear, again, just prior to the pandemic or when the pandemic first started. My job is here. I would hear, my home is here. My house is here. What am I supposed to do, John? A lot of people, even today, probably in the comments section will say, I can't afford to move, John. You don't understand. It takes money to move. Some people will say, I refuse to run. Hey, son, I'm not going to leave Los Angeles and run to small town USA. These people aren't running me off. But I think, personal opinion, I think getting out of a city at this point should be your top priority. Because as I go back through that list of excuses, my job is here. Maybe you have a job that pays six figures. John, I make $100,000 a year in New York. But what is the cost of living versus small town USA? You don't need $100,000 to live here in small town USA. You don't need to earn that kind of money to be able to sit on a bench and enjoy your life and not live in fear and eat ice cream, vanilla. It's awesome. You ought to try it, son. But a lot of these people are like, well, my job is here and I make $100,000 a year. But you have to worry about being shot on your way to work. You have to worry about your car being taken from you. You have to worry about being robbed, mugged, the whole nine yards. You have to worry about bridges being locked down by protesters. You have to worry about so much nonsense that it just doesn't justify. You're trading your safety for money. And to me, this just doesn't make sense when you can have a better life making less money elsewhere. My home is here. Put it on the market and go. You won't be the first one. Yeah, but I grew up in Chicago. These are my streets. They're not your streets anymore. You're being replaced. Yeah, take a look at it. Where the people that are not supposed to be here, Cash Jordan, who is really, in my opinion, and I don't mean this as a slight to anybody, but really, in my opinion, he's the only channel out of New York worth watching on YouTube, okay? Cash Jordan. Type that in the search bar. He goes into great detail on immigration, on the crime epidemic in New York City. And you see these New Yorkers who are supposed to be there walking around, these innocent bystanders, and they're zombies. They still don't understand what is going on. They still think this is the New York City of 20 years ago, that everything still works the same like it did back when they filmed Seinfeld. No, that is a relic compared to what it is now. Is your job really worth that? Having a home there, is it really worth it? Can you put your home on the market, undervalue it, sell it fast, and get out? To me, this seems like, again, it seems like a good option. Well, John, I can't afford to move. At this point, you can't afford not to move if you live in a larger city because you already know the chaos that is coming. Right now, here's a sampling of the chaos that we're about to see. The Democratic National Convention. The progressives, the ultra left, even, they're meeting in Chicago. Now they were expecting, I heard, all the way up to 100,000 pro-Palestinian protesters. I don't think they had that many show up. I think they had, maybe 2,000 white graduates from Harvard and Yale wearing masks with the Palestinian flags, kicking gates. And by the way, let me just say this: if you have to wear a mask, you might be fighting for the wrong reasons or the wrong flag. If you're, how can I put this without pissing everybody off? I'm going to piss most people off anyway. if if your message is just or it's patriotic, you shouldn't need a mask. People will say, yeah, but they were witch hunting people on J6. This is all the more reason to be brazen about it. Don't allow these people to force you to live in fear. But I digress. They're like 2,000 people. They're trying to kick the gate down and get into the National Democratic National Convention. Why? They don't know. They don't know. I mean, they're just there to cause chaos, right? And this is in Chicago, and Chicago knew this was coming. Chicago doesn't have enough police officers. It's crazy. Uh, you can't afford not to move at this point, is the point I'm trying to make. I refuse to run. I hear this one from time to time, and I get you. I was born in Portland, raised in Portland. I'm not running from these streets. Well, you need to understand, if you're a conservative patriot, your biggest threat is not the communism that is in Portland now. Your biggest threat is the local government, because they're going to hang you out to dry. First incident that pops up, they don't have your best interests in mind. You need to understand that. And if you're willing to live with that, you're willing to live with that, But here's my whole thing. Why continue to stay in a bad situation? Now, you can apply this to all kinds of aspects in life. I've actually talked to people before, and without getting too personal about it, they'll come here, their life's just a mess. And they're like, I don't understand what I'm doing wrong. And in the nicest way possible, I'm like, you continue to make the same bad mistakes. The bad decisions and mistakes over and over and over and over. You're always looking for a guy in the wrong place. You find a guy in the club, you probably ain't gonna have much luck long term, this sort of thing. Probably not marriage material, vice versa. So don't stay in that bad situation. Change your habits, change your surroundings. Sometimes it's people that are surrounded by bad apples. You got a lot, you become a product of what you're around. You know what I mean? And this applies to a lot of different things. As a parent, I don't want my kids hanging around bad apples, because I don't want them picking up bad habits. It just is what it is. Cities in general in 2024 are bad environments. These are environments in which you can go to jail very quickly just for trying to exercise your rights. You can be harmed very quickly out in the streets. You can be robbed. All sorts of bad things can happen. So why would you stay in a bad situation? It's time to change the mindset. It's time to get out of there. Come out of her, my people. It's time to go somewhere, small town USA, take your pick, somewhere that appreciates patriotism and love of country, because a lot of these places still exist. Now, I'm not trying to walk back my statement from last week. I said the America that we know and love is over, and it is. But right now, it's over in the cities. There's still a lot of great places in rural America. I'm not saying they're going to be there forever. I don't know. But right now, you can get lost in rural America and you can have a really good life. I mean, you can. Things still cost more. The ice cream cones that we bought cost twice as much. We're not immune to certain things like inflation and things like this, but we can sit on the street and we don't have to worry about being mugged. You know, it's well policed. It's a conservative area. People here watch out for one another. Neighbors, we watch out for one another's property and things like this. Why wouldn't you want that situation as opposed to being afraid to go outside? And I'll hear this cop out all the time. Well, America's overpopulated. Numbers wise, maybe. But again, it's mostly in cities. There are a lot of empty patches here in the United States of America that a good, God-fearing, patriotic family could settle down and make a decent living doing it. But again, you're a product of your environment, and you have the ability to choose your environment. And so the message this morning, look, and it's not going to be for everybody. I understand not everybody's in a city, okay? But if you are in a city, it's time to stop making excuses. My mom doesn't want to leave the city. Well, if you love your mom, you need to get your mom out of there as well. You need to figure out a way. It is what it is, because ain't going to be safe for her either. When you look at crime statistics and you look at how police are understaffed, how sometimes 911 doesn't even pick up, the response times are ridiculous when they do. A lot of cities will not allow you to own firearms and things like this. The deck is stacked against you. And I'm sorry, but making $100,000 a year, that ain't good enough, because you're putting yourself and your entire family in harm's way potentially. It's just not good enough anymore. The excuses have run dry for me. But let me know what you think in the comments. Take care. God bless.